I met a gypsy.
Have you actually been to a race that Hayden's been at and been to those pits?
Paula, did he race? Yeah, I raced Paula last year, but no, not a back east, not like what I'm seeing.
You need to go. Just make a point at some point this year to just go stand in Star when he like comes off the track or is about. It's fucking insane, bro.
Yeah,
It is.
He's another one that's done a good. That's changing.
Yeah.
Changing the sport too.
He literally, so he's in the truck, and as soon as he goes in the truck, they all just start screaming Hayden, 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 like chanting. And I was there, I was at Washougal trying to talk to Kitchen, and he's just standing there, and that's why I was like, he left because he's sick of this shit. Like that's why he left. No, just say it, bro. Like it's annoying, but we're trying to have this and we kind of just stopped talking. And then
it's so loud
because they're screaming, dude.
Yeah.
And then he comes out, and
it's like kind of like Europe,
Yeah.
Europe's crazy like that. It's good to see. I think that's what I'll have to go check it out. That's.
But it's very surprising to see that at a motocross track. Like I've been to a lot of events, and I've just never seen a guy get like screamed out of his truck, and just no one else can talk. Everyone just stopped, like just like, all right, the mob's going crazy, and then he comes out and they're screaming. And to his credit too, like he's doing it. Like he's playing the part. He comes out of the truck. He signs the autographs. Like he's so good about that role that he's in. And I think that's a massive thing where like I think James could have been a huge turning point in the sport if he wanted to play the role. And I think we got a couple of years of him wanting to play the role. And then it was just like.
But it wasn't a thing that we did back then. And this wasn't, Instagram was around just, but
a point,
but not
like
it is now, you know? And I also think that when you are, if James, if Instagram, what it was is today, and we would have realized that back then, right? If it was back then and we had it what today, like the revenue standpoint is going to make you be that person and be that character. At least it would have for me.
Yeah.
I would have figured out a better way to do it.
Yeah, imagine just 50 G's a month coming in off YouTube.
You know what I mean? I don't want a camera, I'm not going to do that to my kids. I don't want a camera around my, all the time, 3 days a week, 4 days a week. And then, that's just not me. But when I was racing without kids, it's just me and my wife, like I think there would have been, yes, I think that you could have changed some things but it wasn't available. It wasn't like what it is now.
Yeah. But
they've realized that and they're capitalizing on that, but it's also good for the sport. It's building it. The content's out there.
Yeah.
And that's why we have these followers now. Like, like we had followers then, or like people that fans.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But like, now Jet, Hunter, Hayden.
Yeah. It's just like
diehards.
It's a different level.
I think so. A little bit.
But yeah, I think there was definitely a point in James's life/career where he just was like, you know what, fuck this, I'm out. And he kind of just shut up the gates and was like, nah, I'm done. So I think it does take, but he had to deal with like a lot of shit that the average white racer doesn't have to deal with. And that was very real. I saw a lot of it firsthand, So like I get it as well on like a bunch of fronts. But I think it takes, like, you can have Hayden Deegan level talent and not want to be on camera and not want to do the YouTube thing and not care to engage with the fans and not shout out Andrew Tate and David Goggins on the boat. Like, it takes a certain level of kid to like want that smoke, you know? So I don't think the sport, like, you didn't want to be that guy. Like, you didn't want to be the dude.
No, but I have my one kid's that guy. Like, he would do something, like Gage would do something like that, like, I don't know. I think it's also in you, but also you can also train it too, to a certain extent, right? Like that's, I think myself, James, Chad, like Ricky probably would have tried to capitalize on that a little bit more if it would have been around. But things have progressed so quick with everything right now. It's different times.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately what it is, you know, like there's a
Go back and say, ask Rick Johnson or, MC,
yeah.
Like, oh, shit, we didn't have YouTube back then, like you go ask and, some of those guys, where's your old footage? Well, I mean, there's a couple on YouTube, you could probably find some stuff, but you're not going to, you literally probably could find every gate drop I was on YouTube if you really go to search.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I'm glad and lucky enough to have that.
Yeah.
Have that in the vault.
Yeah.
Whereas I can always go and access it on YouTube.
Do you ever watch any of the old races?
I never really did, while racing or afterwards. But now that the kids are like more into it,
That's sick.
Like they'll go on and find stuff. They found this. Well, they searched something and then I saw this one come up. It was like an hour and 30 minutes long, and it's literally. It's like some VCR shit in it, and it's all like crammed together in an hour and 30. But it's a bunch of like old, from start to finish race wins.
Yeah,
like an hour and 30 of race wins.
It's so gnarly.
And battles with James and Dunge and stuff at Redbud and all over. So it's cool to see that stuff. It's not professionally done. Like I said, some of it's not even HD on some of it. Because it was probably filmed off of like I said, a VCR or whatever. But it's really cool to be able to have that. Those guys don't even have that. And now it's now you have, you know.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.